You're in your 40s or 50s. She's in her 20s or 30s. Logic says you don't have a chance. Society tells you to stay in your lane. Your own doubts whisper that younger women want younger men. Sometimes that's true, but not always. Here's what nobody tells you. When older men successfully attract younger women, it's not through tricks or manipulation. It's through specific qualities that only develop with age and experience. Qualities that younger men simply cannot possess yet. Qualities that create genuine attraction when expressed authentically. The ancient Stoics understood that different life stages offer different advantages. Marcus Aurelius became more influential and attractive as he aged because he developed wisdom, composure, and character that youth cannot replicate. Today, you're learning 7 specific approaches that allow mature men to attract younger women naturally. Not by pretending to be young, by leveraging the unique advantages maturity provides. But let me be clear from the start. These only work if you've done the work. If you're fit, well-groomed, financially stable, interesting, and socially calibrated. Age gap attraction requires you to be exceptional, not average. Ready? Let's break it down. The first approach is leading with worldly experience and perspective. Younger women are often drowning in interactions with men who have nothing interesting to say. Surface-level conversations about weather, work, and what they did last weekend. You have decades of life experience. You've traveled. You've seen things change. You have stories from different eras. You understand historical context. You have perspective on events and trends. This experience is fascinating when presented correctly. Not as bragging, not as back-in-my-day superiority, as genuinely interesting perspective that adds depth to conversations. When she mentions something happening in her life, you can reference similar situations you've navigated. When she's worried about something, you have perspective that comes only from living through challenges. This wisdom isn't about showing off. It's about genuinely adding value to conversations in ways younger men cannot. Epictetus taught that wisdom comes from reflection on experience. You have decades of experience. Use it to create fascinating conversations that younger men simply cannot offer. The key is delivery. Casual references to interesting experiences, not lengthy stories that make you the center of attention. That reminds me of when I was in Tokyo, and then keep it brief and relevant. The second approach is unshakable confidence that comes from decades of self-knowledge. Young men are often still figuring out who they are. They're insecure about their identity. They care desperately about what others think. They need validation constantly. You've had decades to know yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, your values, your limits. This creates genuine confidence that younger men cannot fake. You're not trying to impress. You're not changing your personality based on who you're with. You're consistently yourself because you've had time to become comfortable with who that is. This authentic confidence is incredibly attractive because it's rare. Most people, regardless of age, never develop it. When you're genuinely comfortable with yourself, women feel that energy. It creates safety and attraction simultaneously. Marcus Aurelius wrote about knowing yourself deeply and accepting that knowledge. This self-knowledge creates the quiet confidence that makes age gaps irrelevant. The third approach is emotional stability that only comes from navigating real challenges. Young men are often reactive. Drama sets them off. Minor setbacks devastate them. They haven't developed emotional regulation because they haven't faced enough difficulty yet. You've been through real problems. Job loss, relationship failures, health scares, financial struggles, maybe divorce, maybe loss. Real challenges that forged real strength. This experience created emotional stability. You don't panic over minor issues because you know what real problems look like. You don't get reactive because you've learned that emotions pass. You remain centered because you've practiced being centered during actual storms. This emotional maturity is incredibly attractive to women tired of emotional chaos with men their own age. You represent calm in a storm, stability in chaos, someone who won't fall apart when life gets difficult. Seneca wrote about using hardship to build character. You've had that hardship. Now leverage the character it built. The fourth approach is refined taste and appreciation for quality. Young men often lack developed taste. They haven't experienced enough to know good wine from bad, quality restaurants from mediocre ones, meaningful experiences from empty entertainment. You've had time to develop discernment. You know what's worth paying for and what isn't. You can introduce her to experiences she hasn't had. Quality dining, interesting cultural events, travel destinations she hasn't considered. This isn't about flashing money. It's about having taste that comes only from experience. When you suggest a wine, a restaurant, a destination, there's authority behind it, because you've actually developed expertise through years of exposure. This sophistication is attractive because it offers her access to a more refined world than she's experienced with younger men. But critical point, this only works if it's genuine. If you're faking sophistication or using it as a weapon to impress, it comes across as try-hard and pathetic. The fifth approach is outcome independence rooted in actual abundance. Young men are desperate. They need female validation. They're insecure about their attractiveness. They become needy quickly because they lack options and experience. You've had enough relationships and interactions to know there are always more opportunities. If this doesn't work, something else will. This isn't arrogance. It's perspective from lived experience. This outcome independence is magnetic. You're interested but not desperate. You're engaged but not needy. You'd like things to work, but you're fine if they don't. This energy creates attraction because neediness repels and confidence attracts. Your genuine indifference to outcome makes the outcome more likely to be positive. Epictetus taught about not being attached to things outside your control. Decades of life have taught you this naturally. Her interest is outside your control, so you don't fixate on it. The sixth approach is playful confidence that doesn't take everything seriously. Young men often take dating too seriously. They're worried about saying the wrong thing. They're careful and calculated. They're afraid to be playful because they might offend. You've lived long enough to know most things don't matter as much as we think. You can be playful, teasing, slightly provocative, because you're not afraid of her reaction. This creates light-hearted energy that's refreshing. You can joke about the age difference rather than being awkward about it. I was listening to this band before you were born. Delivered with playful confidence creates fun tension rather than uncomfortable awareness. You can challenge her views without being threatened, disagree with her opinions while remaining charming, tease her gently about her generation's quirks. This playfulness demonstrates confidence and creates enjoyable interactions. You're not walking on eggshells. You're genuinely enjoying the conversation and inviting her to enjoy it too. Marcus Aurelius maintained perspective on serious matters through philosophical practice. You can maintain perspective on dating because you've lived enough to know what actually matters. The seventh and most powerful approach is having a genuinely fascinating life she wants to be part of. This is the foundation everything else builds on. Young men are often still building their lives. They're focused on getting established. They don't have much to offer beyond potential. You have an established life. Interesting routines, fascinating hobbies, accomplished career, rich social circle, travel experiences, projects you're working on. The question isn't, why would she date an older man? The question is, why wouldn't she want to be part of this interesting life? When your life is genuinely fascinating, age becomes less relevant. She's not dating you despite your age. She's dating you because you've used that time to build something worth being part of. This requires actual work. You can't just be older. You must have used that time productively to create a life that's genuinely more interesting than what younger men can offer. If you're not fit, interesting, accomplished, and living richly, age becomes a liability rather than an advantage. But if you've built well, age proves you have staying power and the ability to create quality of life. Here's how these 7 approaches work together. Your worldly experience makes conversations fascinating. Your genuine confidence makes interactions comfortable. Your emotional stability creates safety. Your refined taste offers new experiences. Your outcome independence eliminates pressure. Your playful confidence makes everything fun. And your established life gives her something worth pursuing. This combination makes age gaps natural rather than awkward. You're not competing with younger men on their terms. You're offering something entirely different that they cannot provide yet. But here are the critical requirements that make this work. You must be in excellent shape. Fitness is non-negotiable. An out-of-shape older man has no advantages over younger men. You must be well-groomed and stylish for your age. Sloppy presentation destroys everything else. You must have financial stability, not to show off, but as baseline competence that removes stress and allows generosity. You must have social calibration, reading rooms correctly, understanding boundaries, recognizing interest versus politeness. You must genuinely value her beyond youth. If you're just chasing youth for ego reasons, she'll sense it and you'll seem creepy. The Stoics taught that we must maximize what's within our control. Your fitness, style, character, accomplishments, and life quality are within your control. Maximize them. Here's your practical implementation. Physical foundation. Hit the gym consistently. Hire a trainer if needed. Get in the best shape of your life. This is non-negotiable. Style upgrade. Dress well for your age, not young, not old. Well, get help if needed. Presentation matters enormously. Life enrichment. Build genuine interests, travel. Develop skills. Create experiences worth sharing. Make your life fascinating. Social calibration. Learn to read situations accurately. When she's interested versus polite. When to advance versus withdraw. This prevents creepiness. Character development. Build the wisdom, confidence, and emotional stability that only come from deliberate practice. Don't just get older, get better. Remember, younger women who are attracted to older men are usually attracted to what maturity provides. Stability, wisdom, confidence, perspective, quality of life. If you don't have these things, age is just a number that works against you. But if you've developed them, age becomes proof of your ability to build quality. Marcus Aurelius became more influential and attractive as he aged because he used time to develop character. You must do the same. This isn't about tricks or manipulation. It's about becoming genuinely valuable through decades of work, then expressing that value authentically. If you're ready to leverage your maturity as the advantage it should be rather than the liability it becomes when wasted, comment below, I choose mastery. Remember, the most attractive older men aren't trying to compete with youth. They're offering something youth cannot provide. Build that offering through genuine development, then present it with confident authenticity.